that. So let's start with our newly returned Jeff.
Yes, apologies for last month. Did you see the eclipse or the partial eclipse? Well, that's typical of us, the clouds. But I just read a bit from a Psalm of David. He was a real outdoor person. And the last verse I'll read is the giveaway that we missed on Sunday. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the works of his hands. In the heavens, he has pitched a tent for the sun. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is the giveaway. Nothing is hidden from its heat. So they don't have clouds. Well, didn't have clouds then. So people could see an eclipse. So David, for the number of years he must have spent with his father's sheep in the open air, if there was an eclipse, he'd see it because there's no clouds. Brilliant. Bible's very up to date, I find. Let's pray for our meeting tonight. Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can meet here tonight to share together and to share with one another the things that concern us and the things that concern our town too. And Lord, we ask for your help in these matters. We thank you, Lord, that you've put us on the council to serve Ilfracombe. We thank you for that opportunity. We thank you for the responsibility you've put on us. And so we ask that you will help us in our deliberations tonight and with people that meet us and contact us with their personal view. So, Lord, we want to say thank you for the eclipse that we never saw because of the clouds. We thank you that David saw the eclipse time and time again. And just thank you that this is where we live and this is where we have our responsibility before you and our friends. And we pray in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, we move on to the agenda. Carol. Item 1, to receive and agree apologies for reasons of absence. Do you have any apologies?
I've heard apologies from Councillor Perrin, Ebbott and Quinn, and I think the only person possibly absent is Councillor Townsend.
Duly noted. On to item 2, any declarations of interest or member submitted dispensation requests? No, all good. Any items for chair's discretion or announcements for information only?
I think Councillor Wilson was asked to, Councillor Elliott, and looks like Councillor Williams as well.
Mine might be covered.
We might be able to
go
cover.
through the agenda, but.
Okay, that's good. Item 4, to determine which items, if any, of the agenda should be taken with the public excluded. I have one for this. I propose 9.2. Yeah, if I can get a seconder and a vote. Seconder. All in favour? Right, go back to my part B. Right, on the agenda, item 5 is public participation. Welcome, members of the public. Right. Yes, yeah. Right, should we start with Norman, because you're my tradition now.
Nice to see you back.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd just like to ask, you're going to say it's irrelevant to the council, but to me, it's not. I saw that the planning committee passed a plan down at the Grosvenor Hotel to do part of the building turn into flats. Now, this information is coming from me on Sunday. The person who bought the building apparently never paid a lot of money for it, and that's none of my business, anyway, but he didn't pay a lot of money for it. So what they were saying basically is that when he turns these flats, when he makes the flats, he'll make enough money out of these flats to pay for what he paid for the building. Which, so I asked the question, who was talking to me, what's he gonna do with the rest of it? The answer to that was not certain. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, as a town, I look at the town basically, I don't like all the eyesores I see. I'm coming into the Ilfracombe from Wilder Road, back down through. I'm positive the Osborne Hotel is stopped. You can see that from North Blue Road, you can tell it's not going. Then you've got Harley House, which is got planning permission, and that one, and you've got the Grosvenor, which looks at, so we're looking at a bit of a derelict situation. So is it possible to find out by the planning people what's going to happen to the rest of the building now? What they've done is took a section out of it, and what happens to the rest of it? And the rest of it is what you actually see when you drive down the road. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Lord. Anybody got any comments on that?
Can I just say, we were consulted as Ilfracombe Town Council, and yes, we did agree to the recommendation to actually turn it, but please bear in mind that it's not our decision, it's entirely up to NDBC. We're only consultees, and I don't believe that NDBC have actually come to any decision on that building.
No, that's what I'm trying to say, it's definitely derelict, awful.
Yeah, but there may be more to come, Mr. Crown.
Very, very quickly, as we've discussed before, the problem with the main building, Norman, is the fact that there are some leases in there that are tied up with all sorts of foreign entities, Russians, God knows what. The building that they're talking about separating off is one that is lease free, and it is simply a matter to get. The problem is this big, and by selling that end off, it'll be this big, so it makes the problem it's more, it's the bailiffs that are selling it, isn't it? So, the bailiffs that are doing this, so it's just work in progress. As soon as they get the leases sorted, then the rest of the building will be in there'll be an application for that, I'm sure. It's not, if it was a hotel again, I would be frankly embarrassed.
Thank you, Lord. Alison.
Good evening, I'm Alison, Mr. Lane, sorry, this is Paul. Thanks for allowing us time of meeting. As obviously some of you already know that community resources, there may be some of you that know us, some that don't even know what we do. But the purpose of coming here tonight is to highlight what we do in town as a group. We're a community interest company providing meaningful activities for learning disabilities, Asperger's, autism, mental health. We have obviously a wide variety of activities, workshop-based, community-based. Obviously, we've got a prospectus to hand out to you with more details of that. But obviously, we do a huge benefit to the community. And we do like obviously different things around town, which we feel that we are worth belonging here. But obviously we would like to, because it's our 20th birthday this year, we want to obviously showcase our work. We're holding an open day this Friday. We know it's obviously short notice, but we'd like any of you guys to come. It's obviously at Heel Business Park, and we've been established since 2005. But it's between 11 and 2 on Friday. We know that you're all really busy, but we'd like to see any of you there today, on that day, sorry. But we look forward to continuing doing our work around town. But thank you for listening.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully we can send them, I'll give my apologies now, I'm afraid, I'm gonna be other part of the country, but hopefully some others can make it, so. Well, thank you for that. So,
Is there parking there, Alison?
Yeah.
How many cars can you fit in?
Oh, there's probably about 10, 15 parking spaces.
Any other questions for Alison?
I just thank you for the work you've done over the years. You've done, you know, without anyone knowing, you've quite been going around doing all sorts of good things. So, yeah, you know, we all can see what you've been doing. Thank you for that. Yeah.
I'll just say at this point, you're very welcome to stay for the duration of the meeting, but if you want to escape, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Can we just get out? Or leave them? Yeah.
Obviously, you can see that. Yeah. And then obviously. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
You can get the agenda.
We'll come back. We're training and waiting.
For the board staff,
Okay, so we'll move on to item 6, which is to approve and adopt the minutes of the full council meeting held on the 11th of August. Are there any update on actions or on the previous minutes?
Nothing that isn't already in the agenda, currently in this month's agenda.
Okay, any other questions before we move to adopt? I propose we adopt these minutes. In a seconder. Very well. All in favour? Thank you. Any against? Item 7, minutes of the planning committee meeting, approved recommendations, 18th of August, June.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I present you the minutes of planning committee meeting held on Monday, the 18th of August. Obviously, I'm sure that all you members have read it and everything digested it. I take it there will be no questions because it's obviously the minutes are self-explanatory. But if you have got any questions, then please feel free to ask. And I would ask you to note these, please.
Any questions for June?
No, can I add in just something for the next planning meeting so that members are aware? The conservation officer from North Devon Council will be coming as just before the planning meeting at the next one. So if any other members are interested, the email will go out to you all, but just to let you know that that's happening.
And if you've got any questions, obviously, please feel free to ask.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, June. Item 8, minutes of the finance and general purposes meeting. To note and approve recommendations, 26th of August.
So you, planning, you've got a report from F&GP, which I think you'd like me to know and approve. The item 25054, there's more to come on that, I think.
we'll
survey.
Yeah, we'll raise.
We'll do that later.
No, you're right. You can raise it now. So because basically F&GP you put the recommendation forward. So alongside that recommendation, I've just put a report together, so it's a little clearer for everybody to understand. And I think I sent out on Thursday the results of the public consultation that we did. If anybody needs a copy, I'm happy to resend those out, but, it did give a general idea.
Yeah, the basic point is, are we willing to pay up some money to order the cost of the street marshal? So, first point would be, are they worthwhile, which is why we've done the public consultation, because you can see pretty convincingly people have come back and said, yes, we do like them, we do think they're helping, they appear to be helping in the areas that we need help, which is social behaviour, student thinking, etc. So if we accept that people want it, the next step is to say, are we willing to pay? And if so, how much are we willing to pay towards it? We can say, no, we're not going to give anything, but with that comes the risk that NEC saying, well, you know, we paid for everything last time and you're expecting us to pay for all of it this time, but we put a single penny into it. Frankly, you know, we could reorient this money to have even more returns in Barnstable. Basically, if we do nothing, I think I would very justified in saying washing their hands and everything. I saying, well, if you don't want to hear from them, we want to provide them. So then we get to sort of another bit, which is, are we willing to pay? And if so, how much are we willing to pay? So the total cost is 38,000. The 8,000, which is the maximum we put in proposing, is roughly a fifth. So it's not nothing like the full cost, but it's a significant contribution and it shows really on our part. So personally, I would recommend that we do make a contribution, potentially up to 8,000, because I think that Barnstable are paying themselves
30,000 pounds, but they do have the street marshals for 7 days a week.
Right. It's unfortunately, it's not dissimilar to what
Councillor Elliott.
I do see a lot of street marshals down at Bells. I do see the value in them, but they would say themselves that consistency is the issue. So only having them 2 days isn't as effective as Barnstable having them 7 days where they've made a real impact. So is it still just going to be 2 days?
I think for that money, yes, realistically. I mean, we could try to go back and negotiate and say if we put in more and we have a third or fourth day, then that's going to be quite a drain on their resources. I think the fact that people seem that there does appear to be awareness on the survey from their presence, and it seems to be popular. So yes, I mean, more than 2 days would be great. I don't know whether we've got money really to go much beyond what we've got already, which is the 2 days.
I think from an officer perspective, my suggestion would be is that you've set the recommendation there. We've gone based on the figures that North Devon Council have proposed. It doesn't necessarily mean that we couldn't negotiate a position from North Devon Council perspective. I think what you've got to do at this point is just agree that you are willing to contribute towards what is currently the setup. If we can then start the negotiation process when I manage to find out the exact information from the police and what the hotspot funding is going towards, once I can get, you know, better clarification. The council, North Devon Council, are very aware of the situation within Ilfracombe, and I think a little bit of negotiation and a bit of pushing we can probably do. But I think we do need to stick to whatever you agree as a figure, and go from there.
If there's that room for negotiation.
Well, there's always room for negotiation.
I propose that we go ahead with the motion, which is that we agree to pay up to £8,000.
I'll second the motion. If I may, by adding to that when I second the motion, I think that we're in something that, what is it, a vicar's, what's this, anyway, it's something to do with vicars and it all goes terribly wrong. But we're told that these are of a marvellous effect and the curate, that's the word, I got there in the end, isn't it? Curate. We're told that our police inspector says that the problems that we're looking to address with this, he can't arrest his way out of the problem. Well, if he can't arrest his way out of the problem, who can do whatever? And we're paying chaps with SIA door licenses to walk up and down the street. I think we have to, and I think it's popular, and I think people are desperate, and that's why I'm seconding the motion, because I'm desperate to do something, but I don't think it's the most effective way of doing it. And I think there are lots of things that ought to be doing, and I think we probably can arrest your way out of the problem if you've got the funds to do it.
Could I just respond to that? So I see the value that they have is that they build a relationship with some of the individuals that cause problems in the town, and they allow welfare agencies, signal rough, that kind of thing, and they liaise with all the other organisations. So I think they have got a value where they're preventative and they're building up that relationship. It's a shame it's not 7 days so that they can, you know, target the hotspots and be earlier in the day and things like that. But by gaining trust of people and being aware of what the issues are with individuals, they can sometimes prevent the problems that we see. So I think they do have a value.
Can I just add to that? I actually, myself and Councillor David Williams, we actually spent half a day with them going around Ilfracombe, and I totally agree with what Councillor Elliott's saying. They have built up a rapport with the street drinkers, and they do know them by first name terms. You know, they are actually, much to my surprise, they are quite well respected by them. And I just feel it would be a shame if we put into any jeopardy the future of that. I appreciate what Laura's saying about, you know, we all know we would love them to be here for 7 days a week. You know, in an ideal world, it would be great. But obviously, we can't really press for that. We carry it off Devon District. But obviously, at the end of the day, if we are willing to put just a small amount into funding, then I feel that that would give us a bit of a more of a leg in, and obviously gives us more room to negotiate. You know, I am very much in favour of the street marshals. You know, after spending, you know, 6 hours or whatever it was we spent with them, you know, I can fully appreciate, you know, the value that they bring to this town.
I just ask, is this in this year's budget or is this for next year's budget? So we've got it already.
It's because they run a different year, don't they?
Yeah, they run from,
July, isn't it?
no, they run from January to December, which is a little bit of an awkward, because it is an ask that has come in the middle of our budgetary year. We're gonna have to find it if we do this. There isn't a set budget aside at the moment. We could potentially look at, I mean, invariably, if we have to, we'll rob Peter to pay Paul, but I don't know if that's necessarily ideal. We might have to dip into reserves for it, but it will be something we can aim to budget for. At least we can budget a portion of it in the next financial.
So to finish sort of my point there, we
have-
find the money for this, but we maybe need to budget more
Yes.
aggressively for next year.
Yeah. And a portion of this will be covered within following year's budget, because obviously you'll go from April to December, we will budget
Yeah.
ahead of
I
time.
mean, I think, you know, we can have anything we want, it's just got to be paid for.
We've got to find it, yeah.
So council.
Yeah, it's just a question really about PSPO, do the public, oh, whatever that stands for, a long day.
Public Spaces Protection Order.
Does the street marshals have the power to enforce
Yes.
that?
Yes, they
I mean,
do.
have they been doing it up to now? So there's a bit of a issue of, well, that gets me a little bit, in that we've got one that doesn't seem to be enforced terribly much, and a lot of the shop owners I speak to are being their bonnet about the enforcement of that. So anything that enforces that more.
Do you think we can enforce it? The drinking thing, don't we?
Well, I remember in when it was
I think,
past, it said North Devon Council staff, as well as staff can enforce it. I don't know.
Well, there's all sorts of weird rules, isn't there? I mean, Sean and Benny could only do it if the can was open, you couldn't go as well as the can.
I can get to that.
But
Well, I support this, and I support everything that everyone said. That's what annoys me slightly is this year we've been asked again from the police to put extra money into council tax for the policing. We're not seeing any extra policing. When we have PSCOs in the town, they dealt with this and it wasn't costing us anything with that. It's just everything is being put back on the town council, or the town council chip into that. I support it, but I just feel a bit annoyed that
Yeah.
the way things are headed.
I'm the same.
well, we have any more? Well, we have a proposal, a second, should we go to a vote? All in favour?
Marvel.
Anybody against? Abstentions? No. Good. Good. Item 9, minutes of the staffing committee meeting, 18th of August. 3 sections to this, recommendations. 9.2 will move to part B, as I've already said. Start with 9.1. This basically is about, our recommendation is we're trying to build in resilience based upon previous experience. So we would like to get a second person circa qualified. It's a cost of £495, which we have in the training budget. Well, £795 total for the training budget. And that way, then we are future proofing ourselves. We have a backup for Laura, and we won't end up in a position that we've potentially been in the past. Moves that we pay for that silver for Isabel.
Are you proposing, Jeff?
I am proposing.
Second. Oh, wait, sorry.
All in favour? Anybody against? Abstentions? Oh, good. 9.3, we have a national pay award of 3.2%, and my recommendation is we follow the guidelines we've been given, really. Let's see if we can do anything else, so I'll propose it, if we get a second,
Just like to point out, so that's less than the tube drivers have been offered. Yeah, oh, yes, I'll second that.
good, all in favour? Anybody against? Abstentions? No, that's good. Right, item 10, minutes of devolution and LGR committee meeting, 26th of August, councillor Dia.
Yeah, you've all received the minutes of this wonderful meeting that we do once a month. It's still a bit up in the air really, because we don't really know what's happening. So the majority of the work that we did at the last meeting was look at assets that would possibly be handed over to us, and just really looking at them and saying, yes, well, that's a good one, or no, that's a bad one. Basically, we're still waiting on the government to make their mind up which way they're going to jump on this. So this is just to be noted, I assume.
Your question from councillor.
Well, more of I don't know, I can't remember where this went in certainly what's been going on at Highland. As it stands, 145, which is the preferred thing that the district council are going for, North Devon is still keen on a North Devon and Torridge. That had some mileage in it, and there's been reports done, but it needs more reports, which would cost 175,000, I think. 175,000. No, anyway, lots of money. And then Torridge says, we're not paying for that, and in actual fact, we're not sticking with you. So at the minute, North Devon is in a quandary because its preferred option is not available because the partner to whom it wanted to be wedded no longer wants to get married. So we are now wedded to the 145 option, but the remarkable thing is Exeter, which is the main part of the 5 that we need, it wants to bugger off and take out East Devon with it, with all the money. So when Bert says it's all up in the air, I think that's possibly one of the biggest understatements yes, you'll get this evening, I think. So, I mean, it really is. And the whole thing is, the whole idea of it is to save money. Because there was Angela Rayner, bless her, was told that this would save 2.9 billion. But that was based on all 21 councils going to a single county council. If there are 58 new councils, it will cost almost 2 billion the other way. So I think it's possible nothing will happen.
Yeah, that's very
Why does no one want us?
Don't write the news.
You make money.
I think the vision is that North Devon, Malcolm Prowse is particular, is the independent group more. The Liberals are kind of pushing 145. Malcolm is very much North Devon now. And he wants to see Barnsley as the capital of something, which would be North Devon College. And I think Tories might be interested, but they don't want to put in 100,000, which is half the cost of this APMG report. So,
I think just add to what Paul said in that, I think, it was my understanding that it was more the leader of Torridge Council rather than some of the councillors who felt that it was a bit dead in the water. So I don't know if they've actually had a meeting now and made a decision one way or the other, because last week.
last Thursday, I think,
Last Thursday, and they weren't
was
very happy, but some of them weren't very happy that they hadn't been consulted on pulling out of North Devon. So we are pursuing what they call a place story for North Devon anyway, to have ready in case North Devon needs to sell itself. But the idea was, yeah, it's going to be there's so many economic similarities, and the fact that we work together on a lot of our things, it made sense. And the hope was that West Devon and Mid Devon would, after they had overtures made to them, might come on side, but that's been a bit disappointing that they haven't really been that interested. And I think some of the councils are so bewildered that they just want to go down one single route, and that's it. But I've also heard rumours that that Devon County favour the whole, a large Devon model, basically.
Yeah, what makes sense.
Regional like assemblies, or not assemblies, not the right word.
Neighbourhood area committees.
That's the one, yes, I've got that in your email. But I'm not sure how that will go down.
Well, you're not sure how it can go down when the districts are told, right, you can close down and bugger off, you're not sure. I can anticipate that.
Okay, so watch this space then.
But if I can come on, that's very important, because what it is, if, for example, and this is where we get a little bit, no CCTV here, it'll be fine. But joking aside, if you have a North Devon Torridge council, and there was a chance of happening, there is no chance of happening, never ever, 170,000 doesn't get anywhere near the government's target. But if that was to happen, then the existing, what should I say, management might think that they had a good chance of the job. Why I'm saying that is because then they would not be keen to let any car parks go, anything of value, and this and that, because anything they did that was a good deal for parishes would mean that their future job prospects might be more difficult. So, in fairness, we're looking from a town council level, a selfish town council level, and no more, you'd always be looking for that not to work.
Duly noted.
You can go out.
Thank you. Anything else, Bert?
No, that's it.
Right, we'll move on to item 11, report from proper officer.
Yeah, I'll start with my main report. Hopefully you've all read it. Just to let you know, I know we did at the last meeting say that we would defer and decide how we were going to deal with the permits with regards to the High Street car park, but having spoken to my officers, we've decided to do it in-house. It's quite straightforward. We've got to sign on to the ANPR system so we can manage that ourselves, which means there's no fees, nothing required. So that's quite straightforward. Public conveniences are an absolute nightmare. I'll be honest, there's no other words for them. We have got to a point where vandalism side of things and people literally living in some of them, has got us to a point where we are gonna make the decision to probably close them in the evenings, because we just can't afford to keep having to replace things. So that's something that will potentially be happening quite soon. And we're dealing with the NDC and the contractors to deal with the seafront toilets. That's still not fixed. The one in the middle still doesn't work. And where we thought we would take a fair bit of money over this weekend, having quite so many people around, not quite as much as one would hope. So obviously doors are still being left open. The nursery, just to let you know that the previous tenants have now officially departed. They have still left a fair bit of things, sending me an inventory. I've responded back asking what they wish to do with this inventory, and if nobody wants it, if they're planning on collecting it. So I'll let you know on that. There's conversations going on at the moment between, we have got one in somebody who is interested in taking up as a nursery, but it is very much at the very beginning stages. Devon County Council, I've been dealing with their early years department, there's another word for it. They have got money that they're willing to put towards it and invest in it to keep it as a nursery. But to do that, I think we need to go and have a wider interest, and we have to put out an expression of interest to the wider public so that they can then be involved in the selection process. So they've got the transparency with that, but that I'm still in negotiations and chatting about that. So nothing will happen with the nursery if we're wanting to keep it as a nursery for a fair few months, I'm afraid. So, but I'll have more information hopefully by F&GP, so on where that's going. Luckily, though, catenary wires have all paid for, and on the back of that, the CCTV down the seafront all got paid for out of funding from North Devon Council, which is brilliant. Community right to bid, that was highlighted in the last full council, that has been done. We've sent that through. They've got North Devon Council have acknowledged the request. They've got 8 weeks to do the work and let us know. The owners of the property will get informed in that process as well. So we'll wait and see what comes of that. There is discussions with regards to the Link Centre, the building itself. Just so you're aware, we did bring this up at the devolution meeting, and I did subsequently let Finance and General Purposes know, but following certain discussions with Devon County Council, Steve and myself Steve very kindly did the letter, and we sent off an expression of interest in regards to the building itself. It does not mean that we're committed in any way. It just means that we are saying that if there is an opportunity for a community asset transfer, which is where one council can transfer an asset to another council for a nominal value, not market value, then there is the potential that they'll do that. Sarah will probably fill you in, and it might be in your report, so correct me if I'm right or wrong, but this is up for discussion, I think on the 18th September, I think, at Devon County Council. So they will at that meeting decide whether or not the asset is going to be released in some capacity. Not that we'll get it, but just that they will decide to offload that asset. The minor injury unit, obviously, following last full council, there was, we put a letter together, which I did as an appendix, so you've all been able to see it. That has gone off. I've had no response as yet, but I think if Councillor Elliott, Chair, if you're happy, if Councillor Elliott steps in at this point, we'll say with the Chair's discretion later on.
Sure.
And I think Councillor Wilson has some information as well on this subject.
Okay. Brilliant.
So the League of Friends received an update as stakeholder that the ICB will not renew any contract to provide a weekend minor injury service after it ended on Sunday. So there's still a minor injuries review happening across Devon to look at minor injuries service as a whole. However, at the same time, the Devon ICB is becoming a mega ICB with Cornwall and, is it one other? And the Isles of Scilly. I can't imagine where we are in the scheme of all of that as it's going on, because they're in all sorts of trouble, I think. But we are determined that we get a minor injury service. At the moment, they're telling people in the weekday to go to Coombe Coastal, but in discussions with Coombe Coastal, they haven't got the capacity to be able to treat people with minor injuries. They're not got the skills, they haven't got the allocated time. They release their urgent appointments on the day very early and they are very quickly taken. So it's quite likely if someone rings 111, they may not even be referred to Coombe Coastal, but if they are, it's highly likely they haven't got capacity to see anyone, which is what is reflected in the figures, how many people they've treated since they've been a weekday minor injury service. But we need to be making the case, they will make the case that it's based on numbers, but we need to be making the case that we have got severe health inequality here, and a lot of that is around access, and that coastal and rural areas deserve the same level of service as elsewhere, particularly with this health inequality that we experience in Ilfracombe. And they had the Healthcare Trust had a symposium in July on health inequality, of which Ilfracombe was probably, I'm sure from Andrea Beach, who talked about more than anywhere else. But we need to press them, what are you actually doing? What are you actually investing in Ilfracombe to bring services more locally to people and to address that health inequality? All that seems to be happening is more and more being taken away. So we'll be discussing this tomorrow at the League of Friends meeting, 1 PM at the Tyrrell Hospital, and you're all welcome to attend to see what our next move is about challenging them to have an accessible minor injuries service available. Even if it's not going to be at the Tyrrell, they need to have somewhere accessible and an easy access route. It's all over the place at the moment. People don't know where to go, what to do. We have no weekend service now.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to add that I've been talking to like the avenues in Devon County where there are levers over there. So Devon County doesn't have a direct remit over most of the NHS, obviously, but there is a public health department, and Steve Brown, who's the head of public health, who came to the public meeting that we had back in June. He said that he thinks there should be an impact assessment made when there's a closure or withdrawal of a service, particularly in an area with high health inequalities, and that we should see that report. So that's my next tack about trying to get hold of that, see what it says. Get hold of someone in the ICB to reply to me. Yeah, and I did raise it as a question in the full council meeting at Devon County Council last Thursday. So the cabinet member with this as her remit, Cheryl Potter-Hunkin, you know, I'm going to be able to tap in her and direct her and get her on the case. And we also know that Ian Room is in the case as well. Ian Room is involved in all of the discussions, being copied into everything.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Any comments?
Just, you said, the ICB is South Devon County. There should be county members on the ICB. And this Tyrrell shut down is because of the ICB review, which I've now finally got a copy of, took about 18, 12 months or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how.
The chairman's independent, absolutely, but there should be county members on the ICB, because ICB is NHS and county integrated. Although I agree, I know what you're saying, it's going to, I think it's gone super yet, has it?
Sorry?
I don't think it's gone super yet.
No.
Cluster, what's it called?
Yeah. You know what word follows that, don't we? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Back to you.
Yeah, so if I'll carry on to the next bit. The next bit is the only part of my report which has got recommendation, which is basically the NDC IT department has kind of approached us and said, we have a list of equipment, some of it's running out of warranty, some of it needs replacing. We did put £5,000 aside in the budget, so if I can get a proposal on the seconder that the responsibility goes to both myself. I have put Steve down as well because he understands it more than I do. And we will work up to that budget and start replacing some of the IT equipment that we have, especially the front desk reception, because that is, you might as well just get, what do they call it, John, and just wind it up because it's so slow.
I guess it's Windows 10 you're probably.
It's something. That's about as much as I understand, Paul. If the computer goes on and if it works, I'm happy. I don't understand it.
I think this is essential, we should all vote for it immediately, if anything that runs Windows 10 is no longer supported.
Yeah.
Councillor Elliott.
Just to propose, we accept it. I've had experience of the front desk whirring into action.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Yeah. I think they do have a bicycle over there that tends to keep it going.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, we have a proposal, a seconder, all in favour?
thank you.
Anybody against? Yeah, good.
Can I ask a very quick question about your report?
Yes.
Is there a contingency should, with the nursery, that doesn't come to fruition, what you do with the space?
There is a contingency because one of our current tenants has expressed an interest in wanting that space. Whether they would have all of that space, I'm not sure, but they would most definitely have the top half of that space, without question. So I have something in place, but no, not for the complete side of the building, not just yet. So, but we literally have only just managed to the current tenants have only just left. So, and until I can finish those discussions with Devon County Council over years, I'm not going to cut my nose off, so to speak, just yet.
Quick question on the Link Centre,
Yes.
expression of interest. When could we get either a contractor or one of our own maintenance team in there to give an estimate, guesstimate about how much work is needed and how much it might cost?
The way the process will work, as far as I understand it, is that the meeting will happen on the 18th September, where Devon County Council members will decide whether or not they're going to keep the asset, or they're going to look to either put it on the market or do a community asset transfer. They'll look at it two ways. They're either going to want to try and cut the cost completely and offer it out to us, or they're going to cut the cost and try and sell it, but obviously it's going to be sold with the premise that the work needs to be done. If they're interested, or they give us the nod that they would potentially give us the community asset transfer route, we can then start looking, and we would then do a business plan. So when we're just us expressing an interest means we're in no way committed, as I said before. We literally would just saying we're putting our hat in the ring. If you say yes, we will now go away, do a business plan, have all of that type of discussions, find out, and then we'll go from there. They've assured me that's how it works.
And that would be with an external contractor, or are we able to do that in-house in terms of the?
Oh no, I think we would probably, I don't know the extent of it. I've never even been in the building forever, so I couldn't tell you.
I hear what you're saying, but do we need to be a little bit more forceful than that? The reason I say that is that if they just read a report, NPS, I presume, will do the report. So if NPS do a report saying, oh, we can drop this like 200,000, someone that wants to spend £200,000 on retargeting a car park in Exeter is going to say, brilliant. Do we need to be a little bit more?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I've never done this before, so I'll be honest. I haven't got a clue how forceful we need to be. I know that there's obviously still the League of Friends have already got community right to build to buy on the building as well, so that's going to have to be taken into consideration, because they if it goes to market, then that would be something that the League of Friends would get first opportunity to purchase. But I don't know, at the moment, all I've managed to get from them is acknowledgement that they've got that the letter that we've sent, and that they've got that meeting on the 18th. So I think if you lobby your Devon County Council councillor, hopefully we can be a bit more forceful, maybe, I don't know.
Councillor Rowley.
Did you have to put a case of why you would want the building?
Not at this point. No, not at this point. This is literally just a letter of interest stating that, you know, it is community use, that we have experienced of community use, things along those lines. So no, at this point it's just an email, nothing formal. As in, yeah, very much early days.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Okay, if I keep going, Chair, you happy? If I move on to item 11.1, which is my report to 5056 in regards to the 4th Street lighting situation. Can I put a caveat in the beginning of this, okay, don't shoot the messenger. So if you've read my report, what has transpired and what got brought up is that some councillors obviously highlighted the fact that there was this question over whether the town council owned the lights down 4th Street. When I investigated it, there was a report done back in November 2018. That report did have a recommendation in it, which was to adopt the lights as an ITC asset. The minutes that correspond to that report, unfortunately, didn't actually answer that question. All they said was that we would take on public liability for them. Having gone down the rabbit's warren and spoken to the insurance company have said that firstly, he looked back at the email and the correspondence, because it was luckily the same person who's been with the insurance company since 2018. And he did look back, and he was under the presumption that when he spoke to whoever it was that he spoke to, the officer at the time, he was under the presumption from the way that the email was worded was that we owned the lights and that what the public liability insurance cost would be, of which it was zero, because we already had public liability. So there was a miscommunication in that respect. The second thing he then said is right, just go and double check, speak to somebody legal. Obviously we have SLCC, which is great because that's free legal advice, didn't cost us anything, but they've basically come back, as I said, and they've said, look, you've not done anything, you'd be very hard to argue anything other than, you know, you're basically responsible. So then obviously Councillor Coulter has very kindly spoken to the 4th Street Association, or who was the 4th Street Association. They were under the assumption that we did own them, and the current association of Friends of 4th Streets are now, you know, are equally, I guess, under the presumption that we own them. I think my recommendation at this point is that we clarify the situation so that it is 100% clear and minuted and noted, because the minutes that you've got back in 2018, I think if anything were to happen now, you would very much be held up that you've taken on the public liability, therefore you have got an interest in it, therefore you should be doing something and indirectly possibly acknowledging ownership. But I think if I can, as a recommendation, just clarify that we as a council will take on the ownership of these lights as an asset, which I think we've already pretty much done, but I think we need to just get that in black and white. So just so that you're aware before you vote, by doing this, there is going to be financial implications, very much like the catenary wires. Everything will have to be load tested. It covers a public highway. You cannot risk from health and safety perspective. All the lighting will have to be checked. The electrics will have to be checked. The wires will have to be checked. And that is something that I have got quotes coming, but I don't have that information as yet. But this is something we are going to have to do. Because if, as I say, if something happened tomorrow and somebody was injured, because we've got public liability against it, we have done no maintenance at all since we said we'd take on public liability in 2018. So.
If we determine they weren't and we didn't take it on, what would happen to them?
I don't think you probably could deny not taking them on, because you have minuted in that minute 4786 or whatever it is, 4756, that you're taking on public liability. So even though you're not saying you own them, you are acknowledging that you're taking responsibility for them.
Just a good crap.
The other option would be, I mean, there are some businesses in Fore Street now that are surprisingly more successful than they once were. I don't know if there was a hint that the lights may no longer be there, I don't know if I could rustle up some enthusiasm and get them to minute, if, not if, but if we could say that that there is the Fore Street 2025 Association that would be willing to do some things in Fore Street, then it would save us a lot of battling.
Just so you're aware, I've already spoken to a particular organisation, I won't say at this point because it's not fair to say, they have already expressed that they will happily help and put some funding towards it, so that's what I've said in the the financial side, I've just said grant funding might be available.
Financial side, I'm thinking about offloading you know I'm going with this, because there is a way of getting all that done, but not a lot of money, but not for the town council. So if that was offloaded to Fore Street Association 2025, they could get it done a lot cheaper than we could.
Potentially, but you would have to, I don't know how you'd go against your previous minute of the public liability, you would have to, we would have to, yeah, but what you have to do is that at this point is if you're taking them on as an asset, is take them on, draw a line, and then have that conversation. The bit that you'd have to give them away again.
Yeah.
And that's gonna have to then be another discussion, but that's gonna take time. In the interim, you're sitting with some lights, which if you walk down Fore Street, the first connection on those lights, a lot of them look to be okay, and I'm saying okay in inverted commas, because obviously I'm no expert. But the first one automatically raised concerns, and all we need is one storm like we had last year, and we could end up in a sticky situation. So I think I would, as I say, my recommendation is let's take the asset on, get that black and white done, and I will then start those discussions and those negotiations, and I'll obviously, nothing's going to be approved until I bring it back to the council, unless it becomes a health and safety issue, at which point, unfortunately, I will override all of you.
The Friends of Fore Street, which have taken over from the Fore Street Association, had already arranged to have the lights all serviced, at a cost of £700, which Events for Ilfracombe had said they would donate. There's two possibilities. One is we let them go ahead and do that, but to do that, they would have to then take on public liability, and I don't know how much it would cost them.
I bet £700 the cost of a public liability insurance would be a lot less than you're able to give James Electric.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Do we have an idea how much they were going to charge?
No, I've got absolutely no idea at this point. This is why I say I've got a quote on its way.
Well, if we delegate, can we delegate to that you can go that route, but on negotiation with Fore Street?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, this recommendation is only just to take them on as an asset, so that we just get rid of that ambiguity that you've got between the two.
Yeah.
What then happens is I will now start looking at it as an asset, and I'm going to be, well, I am already looking at it as an asset. I'm not stopping those conversations with those organisations, and the one organisation who's willing to put money in, and I didn't mention, obviously has now been mentioned. But there is ways, I'm never gonna just sit back and just presume that we're gonna spend the money. I will find ways if I can to get it.
I have told Robert to hold off because
Yes.
they were just on the point
Yeah,
of getting.
and at this point,
So I
because,
told him to hold off for a couple
yeah,
of weeks.
because we own them, he cannot touch them. Because he's not, it would be too much of a risk to have somebody servicing or doing anything to those lights if they are, as we have already established, pretty much ours. And that's not, we wouldn't go and let somebody, decide to change a light bulb in one of our buildings, let alone do something that is
Although
of
it has been
substantial
happening in
work.
the past, Lee has been.
Talking of which.
That's, yes, that's Yes, that's been gone for about a year,
Yeah,
councillor Crouch.
so-
But that also is something
Well,
more,
if
it's more than just a light rail.
What they're doing this afternoon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if I can just be clear, we have to just, they can't get involved at this point. I will open those conversations up.
Can I propose we accept your recommendation?
Trevor.
That's the question. In the report, it says that the insurance company, having been told that the council were in ownership. That's pretty clear, but when you were talking, explaining, you said you talked about there was being miscommunication.
They were told, but that's the
They
thing.
were told.
That's a miscommunication was, as he quoted and told us and gave the information that was part of that original report based on thinking that we owned the lights, which that was the miscommunication. We didn't own the lights at the time. So the information he provided, which went into that report number 364, was based on incorrect information. So
From that point, that we told them that we own,
I think we shot ourselves in the foot either which way. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I think, we have, very good.
Just quickly, it's not bearing on it really, but I just suddenly remembered. About 2 years after those lights were up, a lot of them were filled up with water and they were all replaced. And I don't think we replaced them, and they wasn't under warranty or anything, so that's the second lot of lights you got, just so you've got that in your back pocket in case it crops up.
Yeah, well, I know for a fact that they've been fixed after the storm last year, so, but we didn't fix them. So this is what we need to stop happening now, because
it's the right.
it's too high a risk.
It's not like we're on the right form anyway, so let's,
There was
So
everyone
you
that
need to
before,
second
David.
them.
so seconder, I think, was it you, councillor, was it you?
No, councillor Ray.
Proposed that we-
Opposed, seconder, seconding, all in favour? All against? Well, good.
Thank you.
We are in the lights.
What's my next one then? Sorry. Lantern mooring. Sorry, I've been putting this one off for a number of months. And so what I've put together is, because obviously when you get three people in to quote, one person quotes one bit, one person quotes another bit, and one person quotes all of it, plus the building, plus the roof and the surrounding newel posts. So there was a lot of difference. So I've tried to narrow it down and just go, and this is as Gavin understands it, this is new carpeting for the club room, which we have to do anyway because it is coming up, and it's a danger. It is for the club room kitchen, it is for the upstairs corridor, it's for the stairs, it's for the downstairs entrance and the downstairs corridors. It will not be the rooms, it will not be the great hall, and it certainly won't be the nursery end of the building. So I'm trying to do this over smaller periods of time so that we're not disrupting everybody and everything, but we start to kind of work towards it, because I don't know if anyone's been in recently, but the club room 100% has got to be done. And as we're doing it, do we try and do all the communal areas? So you have three quotes, you have three costs.
Of
Down.
three, sorry, of the three, I mean, Braddock's is not exactly a local firm, but I mean, certainly it's a reputable firm, it's been going for donkeys, isn't it? I mean, they're the cheapest, I would say, of those three, I would have no qualms.
Yeah, that's the obvious, one, should we just vote on Braddock's and then work backwards? I'll propose that we accept Braddock's quote. Do we have a second? Or sorry, comment first?
Can I just ask, how much have we got did we put in the budget for maintenance on land?
Is it 10,000?
To be fair, the chances are we spent it.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head exactly. If you bear with me, I can probably find it.
Input budgets.
Yeah, hang on, I'll do it, so.
Past maintenance, that'd be really good.
No, it's in reserves, because it's money that's been taken out, so it's right at the bottom of that, there you go. So for, if you go over a bit more,
Maybe say over that way.
that way there, that's what you arranged. Oh, wow. It will be around a bit more. Lantern, 2,000 for heaters and 5,000, 5,000 for, yeah, because that was both, wasn't it?
And is that for the Ilfracombe Centre? That's below the Ilfracombe Centre. It's not, that's not the lantern.
It's not the lantern.
So it does say that in centre though. So,
It was 2,000 for heaters and then there was some refurbishment.
Yeah, it's the heaters is the lantern. What's below is the lantern.
says at the centre, yeah.
What's above is the Ilfracombe Centre.
You go away in a minute.
If it is necessary, and the proper officer and the chief financial officer be delegated responsibility to cut the books and find a reserve somewhere and which makes
You don't
meaningful.
put the books, but if you find.
We can make sure it will be transparent and fine.
You'll make it say, capital, you know.
Please be aware, all meetings are recorded.
Yes, we're, I think what we're saying is that.
The question is,
Yeah.
question is, are we accepting the Braddock's quote as the
Referendum.
I'll propose it, if we get a seconder. Councillor Elliott, all in favour? Make it happen.
Yeah, I think that's me done.
Done. Okay, so two.
Very too often, yeah. If we do another batch, I think the proper officer would say our recycling sheet is going to be about doing the next batch of carpet. Will we be asking local carpet firms?
We did ask a local carpet firm, there are,
Never turned up.
and we didn't get very far with the local carpet
Fair enough.
firms. So, we do try local above anything else, and then we draw a line and have to keep going.
I did ask Alan Jackson on Saturday, you know, have you got a quote for the town council? Oh, he said, an hour, and said, oh, when's it gonna be in by? I said, Monday. Oh, I'll see what I can do, but I don't think I can manage.
Well, it was, to be fair, these quotes, but I have sat on this probably for about 3 or 4 months, so,
I think due diligence has been done.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
oh,
fine,
and-
that's fine. I'm happy, I'm content now.
thank you so much, sir.
So we move on to item 12, the RFO, Carol.
Yes, so you've got my report, so the first page is obviously our account from where we stand at the end of August, that has all been reconciled and it will go to F&G payment. I was just waiting for one of the statements to come, that the figures are actually correct. It's just that to ask that you've reviewed and agreed them. The second, 12.2 is to review and agree the invoices for payment, and you've also got an addendum, a lot came in over the weekend. So it's, I need somebody to propose that we pay those.
Second. All in favour?
We'll get those sorted out then tomorrow. And the final bit was to review and make a decision on the hydrologic quotation for 25-27. Hydrologic is the thing that's sat on the top of Tesco's that's supposed to tell us when we get rainfall. Mark gets a report, I believe. Yeah. Mark gets a report on it. But the current use of it ended at the end of July. They sent us the quotation they want us to accept for a 2-year.
But it's again, I know last time it was all discussed, it was whether it was actually of use to Ilfracombe, because we get a lot of this information direct from the Environment Agency anyway, so we know when it's gonna rain and when it's gonna flood. This just tells you it has, I understand. So, and we were originally put onto this system as part of a NDC agreement that they part paid it. Well, they stopped part paying it some time ago. So it's whether you want to continue on with this or not.
Well, I certainly feel like questioning it. But
Mark probably can tell you more about the system itself.
I think that just to get from the Environment Agency to pass it, and I think it's
Yeah.
a little bit redundant, and its importance has dwindled. I don't really need it.
So I just need a proposal then from you that we let Hydrologic know that you no longer wish to have their system. And we like to propose.
okay, I'll propose it. Anybody want to second that? John? All in favour?
Randy, I've been on about this for years.
Last time.
I do remember it a few years ago.
In fact, I think Mark was the biggest campaign for it.
It's £1,912, which are charges now that's supposed to last for 2 years. It also doesn't include the cost of if we have to pay for new batteries, which is something like
That's what we're going to get from. Well, we got some of the carpet money back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Traded in for carpet.
That was all that was on the report, unless you've got any other questions.
No. Thank you, Carol. Programme manager report.
Chair, I'm fully aware, obviously, Steve is not in the building, but he is online, so, are you happy that I just let him? There he is.
Yeah. We've had it before,
Talk
he's there.
through.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so this program manager's report is basically focused on continuing problems with antisocial behaviour in the town. I don't like to say it, but we're really no further forward than what we were last month or when this first started. We're trying to work with our partners and agencies to help us to try and move this along. But I think the crux of the matter is nobody wants to take responsibility for the people that are involved in this. And because we don't have any authority ourselves, we're in quite a difficult position in what we can do. So as officers and my members of staff, I've always maintained that we should keep a really healthy relationship with other officers from sort of district, North Devon Council, the police, and be very proactive about what we do. I don't think it's for us necessarily to criticise what they do or what they don't do. And I think that it's sort of coming to the stage now where we need to really push to get some organisation to take more responsibility for dealing with these individuals and for them to have the coordinated approach. Because we've tried to have the coordinated approach with One Ilfracombe, and there's still hope there, and they're still having lots of conversations about how we might progress that. But ultimately, if the police were able to coordinate it, or North Devon Council, and bring together people that they need to help them, so when they go down and they speak to people and they need backup from NDC, antisocial behaviour teams or bits and pieces like that, they actually have that and able to coordinate that. So that's sort of the angle that I'm now going down to push. I don't know whether that there needs to be a hammer in a political sense for some of these for some of these agencies, but it's still a big issue for us that we've got and we're working on. So that's one thing that's taking up quite a bit of time. Another thing I just want to highlight is that we are. Yeah,
Do we do questions as we go? Got one question from councillor Elliott for you
okay.
on that.
On the antisocial behaviour, are you aware how many people are reporting in? I mean, you've been an initiative to try and get people to report any instance of antisocial behaviour. Are we aware just how effective that is? Because I think that's one of the routes to actually tackling this, that the more people report it in, the more pressure it puts on agencies to actually put some resources towards it.
So I think that's one of the things that Neil and the team have been doing quite a bit, and they have been putting a lot of posts and encouraging people to report even the most minor things. And particularly, I think even over the weekend, I know that there was lots of parking and bits and pieces on the up where the boxing was, and I think that they continually pushed out that message through other networks that you need to keep reporting it. You just need to, even if it's you think that somebody else is going to report it, the more people report it, the more people that it's going to make a difference. And to be honest, it is a bit tiresome, but we do need to keep doing it. And I don't have an answer to how many people are reporting it, but I know the numbers that we're doing have gone up, and I know that we are encouraging more and more people to do it. And I think if you look on social media, when things do crop up, I think people are getting into a lot of other people, members of the public, have actually been saying we need to report it because we need to make people realise. So that message is getting out to a lot more people that you do need to report stuff, else things won't happen.
Are we going to get statistics?
Yeah, I think we will get statistics, and I think Neil's in Serbia watching the football at the moment. But when he's back, I will make sure that we get something distributed.
Yeah, it's a great push, but we need to see a result.
Yeah.
So feedback, sorry, Steve, the feedback I've been hearing all the time is to report these things is so tedious that people just give up.
Yeah, I know. So when we spoke to
I tell you it's not urgent to report it.
Yeah, so when we spoke to Inspector Preston about this, he said that the reason why the forms are so big and forms are so long is because the police then don't have to keep coming back to the person that's reported it, and some people do report anonymously, and so there is reason why that it's such a long-winded form, and actually there's not really any way that we can get around it apart from doing what we're doing. I wouldn't encourage anybody to phone 101 because you'll be on there for hours. And it's a waste of time making comments on Facebook, because unless it has actually reported to the relevant authorities, then there is then we're not going to get any further forward.
Okay. Councillor Wilson.
Just on that, I had a whole morning with the Police and Crime Commissioner, not just me, North Devon councillors and county councillors, and I didn't have time to write it up for my report, but so I can write it up maybe in a separate email. But one of the things I mentioned is a new thing that's coming online called UK Pact. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, and it's UK Partners Against Crime, and it's something that is the non-profit. It's going to be an app. And Devon County, the Police and Crime Commissioner is supporting target areas to have an initial free, like 12 months. So don't everyone shoot me, but Barnstable is going to be one of them, because they are a hotspot policing area. But you can actually have it, you don't have to wait for the free trial. But the thing about it is it's supposed to be making all this reporting really, really easy, and enables people to be in an area, like a micro area, where people like shop owners can communicate with one another as well, which is what people I've spoken to have said. They don't like the fact that they feel isolated in their shops. Well, so it's just coming, and the new chief inspector, or the interim guy, he said he's really behind it, and it's something they want to start rolling out in communities across Devon. So some will get a little bit preferential free trial, but it doesn't mean that you can't have it in any town or any community and start. Certainly have a presentation about it, even. Just to make the reporting so much easier. That's the big push about it. And then the police will be collecting data, and they said you can report anything, Because even if it doesn't seem to be related to anything, they might have that other individual doing something else in another town, you know, a few miles away, and they've got more of a global overview, and they can really start building up a picture, because they can't really prosecute people effectively unless they've got a good amount of data and a story behind it. So, if I can find out more about that and send it to you, I will.
Yeah.
Is this called the ASB app?
There are a number of these apps, so this is called UK Hack.
Right.
This one.
So I just noticed I could send a link for one.
I think there are a couple, but this is the one that they're endorsing it in.
Okay. Good.
Devonport Police.
Not the one I got. Fair enough. Yeah, okay, so carry on then, Steve.
Yeah, the only other thing I was just going to mention, that again is quite a big thing at the moment, is we are looking to move the wellbeing team from the current premises, which are at the Ilfracombe Centre, to actually Coombe Coastal, to be based more integrated with them. And I think that as we do that, and as we go through that process, what we're trying to do is integrate the team even more into the Coombe Coastal practice with the doctors, but also to try and integrate them more with the gaps that we're seeing within the community. I think the wellbeing team are now picking up quite a bit of work from the GPs, but also quite a bit of gaps that we're finding. And as normal, we're sort of learning as we go in terms of our knowledge and how they develop. It's certainly changing the ethos of the way that social prescribing is working. It's still good. We're still doing good stuff in the community, but we're definitely seeing now a shift in the way that GPs are handing more sort of GP related stuff to the team, rather than what I class as traditional wellbeing, which is fine because it's part of the contract, but it's changing. And I think over the next month or so, when the team does finally move into the premises and what that looks like, it'll be interesting to see where we go. And just to give some context behind that, one thing that the team are now picking up is doing dementia care plans with patients that are part of the GP that the GPs have seen. And as they go through a dementia care plan that they've been trained for with the GPs, with a patient, they will then go through things that the wellbeing team can help them with. So that's definitely a distinct change in terms of how the team works. But again, it's taken a bit of time, and hopefully that will be ironed out in the next month or so.
That's brilliant.
I just wanted to make a comment on the report, unless anyone had a question about what Steve's just been talking about. I saw in the report that it was mentioned that the solution to litter picking was volunteers again, and I do have concerns over that. I think we're already overburdening our community around volunteering, and I really feel like picking up litter in the town centre is often domestic waste, including glass, sometimes needles, nappies. I think it should be a different solution. I'm not saying that volunteers don't have their place alongside, but I don't agree with having volunteers as a solution to what the litter problem is. I think we should be putting pressure on North Devon District Council to do their fair share. And I think we have to have some solution as town council, how we use our facilities operatives. And yeah, I'm just, please stop using the community all the time as a voluntary repository. I think they do enough.
I just think that I completely take your point, but this is pretty much what successive governments have paddled, haven't they? Cuts to all authorities, and then volunteers will pick it up. And we've been in countless meetings with NDC, DCC, police, fire service. And when they've cut stuff, the answer is volunteers will pick it up. And I think that with the council budget that we've got, it's, we're just left in this mess. Because I feel that we've got 100 things we want to do, and we've only got a budget for 50 things. And it's making those tough decisions on which bits we cut and which bits we want to cut. And unfortunately, this devolution thing has come about. We've got to prepare ourselves for it, because we could really end up in some serious trouble. And I think that the restructuring was a direct result of that. And without seeing into the future, the sort of longer term, we're in a situation now where when the new hygiene maintenance person comes on board, I think Gavin and Laura will be able to articulate this better than I, but we've spoken already about a plan in place for doing some of the work that was litter picking and some hotspots and bits and pieces. So that will be picked up, but it's just a case of, we've got some volunteers, we've got some ideas about how we can increase litter picking, and it's just something that, even if without the current situation, a lot of towns and cities do it with volunteers, and it's just a case of trying to do the best we can with the resources we've got and the budgets we've got. That's my view anyway.
Yeah, Laura was next.
Yeah, I was just going to point out that you've obviously raised this as an item. It is going on the staffing agenda, so it is something that is not really for discussion at the moment. We're aware that we are, no matter what happens and where we're at and what resources we got, we're always going to be pushing for more volunteers, even if it's not just necessarily for litter picking. That's just one element. Volunteering, we're always pushing for more people for the car service, and we obviously have a volunteering champion, so the gardening angels. We're pushing on a long term, and I'm aware of your issue, and it is going to be discussed. But as I say, that's like Steve says, we've still got one person still to arrive, so we still need a bit of time to try and bed in.
I appreciate that, but I was just concerned when I saw it in the report, but I do think litter picking is a bit different given the kind of waste that we're seeing, and I just don't agree with keep pushing everything to volunteers. I think generally the public would see this level of government as responsible for how their town looks and feels, and a lot of towns like Barnstable and Linton do employ people to do that. And I just think we need to, as you're going to hopefully do, structure it into the existing staff.
I've just had a point, and I think, yes, it is important. Yes, we're then trying to address it with the resources we have. Yes, we will have to bring some volunteers in. It's not a solution, it's a multi-pronged solution. And at the end of the day, I'm of the opinion, if this is what the public want, and if it's not being done by anybody else, yes, we can do it, but we need to fund it. And if the precept needs to go up to cover it, then so be it. Ask what people want. If that's what people want, we pay for it. We'll do it. I'll give my £7 a month speech in a minute for the the crowd knew with this.
Can I just say, it's been a pretty depressing meeting so far this evening, everything's being cut, and there's not much good news, is there? But I wonder, could we look at doing something where we're trying to encourage the community to be kind of good, responsible citizens? I mean, I've just travelled all around Europe, and I hardly saw a piece of litter, and it wasn't because we had the council employing hundreds of litter pickers, and they didn't have hundreds of volunteer pickers. It was because the people who live there do not drop litter. And the same goes with the antisocial behaviour, the same goes with graffiti, the same goes with most of these things we're talking about. It all comes back to the attitude of the community. And I think instead of spending our resources on more litter pickers, we should be at least trying to encourage the community to look out for their own community. And then we wouldn't have as many things to pick up. We don't do a lot of work on that kind of thing, whether it's going to schools and getting kids on board, and it's very true. Just talking to people about what it's like to community, watching out for each other, reporting things. If you've got the whole community who are against antisocial behaviour, and then people suddenly don't do it often. Whereas if everybody turns a blind eye to it, until someone else will pick it up, someone else will fix it, someone else will do it. Then it happens more and more and more, and the void growth grows, and I think we should spend some of our resources trying to create a community that looks out for each other. Even if it's just a small thing, where it's an officer going up to the school, or, I don't know what the answer is, but I just think there must be
Yeah,
a way where we can nip it in the bud.
Councillor
A bit.
Ferguson.
Well, councillors going up to the school, whatever it might be, but we don't do that when school.
Yeah.
We tend to look at, you know, the end product, and who's gonna clear that up, who's gonna clear that up, let's see if we can go up the chain.
True, that's all
Stop
also
it from
built on though, the volunteer thing for Ilfracombe Improve as, I see it as gaining a lot of momentum. There's more and more people
Yes,
joining,
you know,
there's
some
more
of the
people
doing all these things, I
trying
can't do it, it's a good
to do things.
community project or something.
Yeah, thanks for that. And,
I was just gonna say, I did read a report that somewhere, I can't remember where it was, they did away with all that, they took them away, the place was cleaner, because people took them there around.
I honestly didn't see a piece of that in the whole
yeah,
3 weeks, I'm not, and that was my little.
I'm just conscious of the time a little bit, so.
Yeah. I'll just finish by saying I was out with a human bloom on Sunday, and I'm talking about the kind of things that you see, well, because we are where we are, we have problems with people putting their waste out, et cetera, people living in flats, presenting wrongly, all the rest of it, it blows all apart. If I had £1 for every time I report into Harry Lane, which causes the most amount of litter in this town, and the buildings in Springfield Road, we never get a solution to it. Please come to the town team meeting on Wednesday and support the town team trying to put pressure to get some solutions to stop this from happening.
Yeah, and again, that links to that, the town team.
I'd love to come, but I'm not working.
Yeah. But my point about Ilfracombe Bloom was, not so much they're providing a solution, but they're gathering momentum. And I noticed a lot more people are starting to look at it, starting to clear their own little bits of street, things like that. It does build momentum, so it's good. So, anything else for Steve?
Just quickly, I want to say, Steve, that, I thought your report was excellent this month, not only your report, but everybody else's on there. It made good reading, there's a lot of information on there, and I know it was brought up at a meeting the other week, and I think it was Trevor that brought it up, but we don't blow trumpet enough. That is the sort of report that ought to go out to the general public, just to show them what we're actually doing, or what's being done, not what we're doing, what our officers are doing.
Yeah.
And that ties into the same thing I said, that we need to
Yeah.
shout more rather than pick up the.
Yeah, we've had conversations about communication and sending positive messages, so, yeah, that's another thing that's being looked at, but not for this solution at the moment. But progress. So, anything else for Steve? No, we're good. Thank you, Steve, appreciate it, well done, it's good to. Right, moving on next to, 14. To receive reports, proposals from town councillors. Do we have any? No, I don't think we did this one, so.
Yes.
Okay. Reports from, district and county councillors. We have one from Sarah. Hello.
Are we gonna have a comment on Sarah's?
Yes, please do, yeah, this is the opportunity.
Just, I think it's a really good idea when you list the meetings you've been to and what they're about. I find that really helpful actually to know what you've been doing.
Can you list them before you go so we can send you questions? Because I was going to say, I looked at it and I was just like, ooh.
Oh, I'm going to an LGR day tomorrow, Thursday at Devon County Council. No idea. Well, that's the topic. That's all I know about it. So
Okay. Yeah,
Great.
feedback, please, and thank you.
Thank you for that, Sarah. Right, now it's down to Pat and Lee and Lincoln Channel.
Right.
Well, 15
Oh, sorry, you've got one.
No, I mean, just to give you an update on, it's very relatively boring, not apart from the reorganisation, of course, you kick off with, but really, push to put solar PV on county buildings. Favourites at the moment are the Pannier Market and the crematorium. There are some land swaps going on at Seven Brethren, and you might find that a local supermarket stays there a bit longer now. But the fun thing that cropped up, apart from local government, is the fact that our partner, Reza, has told the NEC chief executive that if they leave ladders and mooring lines up at Castle Quay, Roll Quay and Pennington Quay, then they become maritime facilities, and as such, they need maritime management. And in the same way as our catenary wires need a bit of loving care and attention, the estimated cost of maintaining those to an acceptable standard is £500,000. So the district council has then got another price to remove all the mooring ropes, chains and the ladders from those places, and that's about £50,000. But that would mean that Barnsley is no longer a port after 1,000 years. So it's going to be, it won't affect us in Ilfracombe, but if that goes ahead, it's a pity there's no journal anymore, because that would definitely be, I suppose you've got Facebook, haven't you, but that is going to be,
I think I did see that on Devon Live.
yeah, it's going to be a complete platform, what's the word, something else in, cluster. Yeah. That's it, but that's going to get us a little bit at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or Paul? No, good. Sorry, back to Pat.
So, any questions on the Leamington report?
No?
Before you ask me a question, are you going to talk about the range?
No.
Well, okay. So you can ask a
I was
question.
only gonna say, disappointed there's no signs for the parking from Durham County.
Yeah,
Keep going on,
yeah,
I have to put it in the portal.
yeah. And
Trucks on the outlet.
so on that note, can I just say, even though we weren't official, that it was very good that Matt, who's chair of the residents, had a contact to urge him a favour and got some clearway signs made, because it would have been a nightmare all this summer, because we've been waiting for Devon County Council to provide them, and they weren't forthcoming. And even David said they're not bad, are they? Oh, sorry, he's not listening. They're not bad they look official, but they may say NDC rather than Devon County Council, but it doesn't matter. The message is there, no parking and NDC enforcement in place, etc. So, okay, but we appreciate your support on that, Sarah, just unfortunately not forthcoming, so hopefully we'll have it next year. Just very quickly, the big news has been the car park. So last week, when we officially were able to tell the residents that there was completion on the car park, and issued thanks to the community, because it wouldn't have happened without the community coming together with fundraising, donations, whether it's been locals, it's been in people's wills. You know, unfortunately, a few people passed away, but they've left money to the church or the village hall. Church has even given some money towards it, because without car park, the church would be less viable. Village hall wouldn't be viable without the ongoing security of the car park. So it was just literally, we've gone into some of the hall reserves, but that will be paid back once we get the money coming in from the parking. So it's all done and dusted. So it's been the big news. Hotel development, they had their open day on Saturday for the show house. It was all hands to the decks for the workers last week. It didn't look as though they were going to be ready by Saturday, but they were. And we'll be interested to see, you know, if they get any positive feedback from that in terms of offers, because when I walk past, including myself, quite a few of the people who are in there having a look for locals, but that would be expected, and you know, they can talk about it to their friends, etc. The late edition was about the Grange. It was raised because last year it was ongoing. We had ongoing flooding issues over the winter period down at the Grange. Councillor Crabb, when he was when you were county councillor, was involved. Got Alex Bird out. There was promise of a plan. We've heard the plan was devised. we heard it wouldn't be implemented until the new year, which is after April. We didn't expect it to be implemented over the summer holiday period. And now it's gone very quiet. But I do know that residents have been in touch with Councillor Wilson and you're going tomorrow, but have you got Alex Bird going with you?
Dates? No, he can't come, he's a day release.
But have you got a date for the work?
December,
December.
so,
You
yeah.
better not ring me.
That sounds like, it was definite, but yeah, December.
December, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then have you any idea then what the week of road closures in November for drainage between Medadine and the Grange is? If it's not connected to that? If you can ask him that as well.
I'm gonna visit them.
Because I haven't told any residents, because it's so far away and not knowing what it's for. I think there's no point in panicking until we know what it's for and will it be definite.
I can ask you.
That, no, thank you. Right, that's it.
Thank you, Pat. Any other questions for Pat?
I was gonna ask, how much was the car park?
How much?
Yeah.
No.
I can tell.
Are you, well, that's if you're happy for it to go out, because
I
obviously
can
it's
tell,
recorded
right,
meeting.
okay, so if anyone could go on Rightmove and you'd see that there was an asking price of offers above 150,000. The day that it went on and we agreed to the offer, the price went up. So a price was agreed, which I'm not going to disclose today, and that sealed it and got it taken off. And we were given 3 months or whatever to raise the funds. So, yeah, so it was more than the 150,000.
Well, you're in charge of funding then.
It's going to cost you a lot to park there now.
Yeah.
All relative.
Fertiliser.
Well, thank you then. Thank you, Pat. On to item 17, correspondence, licenses and notices. We just have correspondence.
Just correspondence, yeah. This correspondence, I think, came into our offices and then got sent out, or was advised to the resident to obviously send it out to councillors. It's really to note, obviously, you're very welcome to discuss the situation, but we know what it is. We sent out, our standpoint with regards to vandalism. I don't think it's acceptable in any capacity. Yeah, but we said that we would bring that to full council.
Councillor Elliott.
I did send you an email, Laura, asking.
Yes, I know.
When an important announcement goes out from the town council, could we have an email sent to us with a version of it? Because not everybody goes on social media or knows what's happening, but if something's said in our name.
It's not really said in councillors' names, it's said in the town council's name as a whole. In my role as I stand as a proper officer, I have that power to be able to send out those type of communications with the agreement of the chair. So I can't promise you're going to get it every single time. It's down to my capacity, it's down to my resources. You were the one councillor who was aware that there was an announcement going out. Nobody else in this room except Mark knew that that was going to go out. I can do my best, but I won't promise you.
Okay, it's just because I have had conversations with 2 people in Ilfracombe who are not from a white background, who are very concerned about what's gone on.
Yeah.
And so I want to give an accurate response, and if I don't know it's happening, I'm just using that as an example. It would be really good to know. Not asking to have input into it, but I thought it was very good, but it's just good to be in the loop, to know that's coming.
It's all down to capacity, and at the time, unfortunately, it wasn't something. I sent it out, went out about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and a decision had to be made.
Yeah, I gave you feedback on it and then it got created, so.
No, that's exactly. When it's possible, it would be really helpful that we're not sort of blindsided by finding out or being told what the council and council said on a hot issue, obviously not about Parliament generally, necessarily about road closures. When it's sort of a live issue that's getting a lot of traction, it would be great if there could be.
And then can I just ask, I've obviously been on Westward, received correspondence, and I advised the person that I would forward it to, proper officer to go on the agenda tonight. Speaking to other councillors, they found out, all during the last few days, that other West Ward councillors received the correspondence. Some responded directly to the person and gave opinions, etc., and some didn't. Can we just have a sort of strategy? Because I thought in the past we'd agreed if we would get something in that could be slightly controversial, that we don't give opinions directly back to the person, we bring it to the proper officer. What is the procedure?
You have got policies, you have got procedures, you just have to look at them,
Right.
unfortunately, and they are on the website. In a situation like this, I would recommend, like you all did, is
Right.
to bring it to me.
Yes.
I had already sent information and I was copied in on the response that went back to this particular member of the public, and it wasn't incorrect. It was exactly the information that I had given to all of you as to what the response is, and to follow the guidelines of the government website on flag flying, to heed the Devon County Council response to it as well, and that was the only information. If somebody else has responded, I'm unaware of it, but yes, the process is generally, if you get something like that and you are unsure, just come to me and we'll make the decision. It either gets raised at a full council meeting, luckily it was literally within a couple of days, or I will respond.
Yeah, because I think at the time I got it, I must have got it early on, there hadn't been a response from us at that stage, so I didn't know what the Devon, the North Devon Council, the Devon County Council response was going to be, because there wasn't one.
Yeah, I think the best you can do is just acknowledge receipt.
Yeah, I think so, it's safer.
I'm not particularly talking about this issue, but in general terms, no council has got the right to respond as a Town Council. You may have a personal opinion, I don't think you could, that is your right, you can express. You've quite been tough to say that, you can't say, you can't always say as a council, you can't say like, oh, that group of Town Council, that's absolutely no, but.
Yeah. No, I think acknowledging receipt, it will be forwarded to, discuss that.
Just bear in mind, I had 5 of you email me the exact same email when I was sat on a train trying to find all the information that you needed to on my phone, so, just bear with me. I'm not always sat in front of my computer in the office as much as I'd like,
And the feedback on
most
the
of the
message
time.
was positive, I thought. Right, that's good. Right, thank you for that. Chair's discretion. I think we had one from you and one from Sarah on that. So brilliant.
I just wanted to follow up on something Norman's mentioned before. There was a fantastic event on the Landmark Theatre over the weekend, very well attended. When you leave the Landmark and you're turning towards where the stage door is, from the Landmark going out, it is pitch black. There is no lighting there. I think I banged on about this years ago. It's where there's disabled parking as well. Is it possible to contact North Devon District Council about this again, and please request that we have some lighting in that area?
I can't make a decision, but yeah, I probably will do that.
Okay, Councillor Wilson.
It's about Boxing Weekend. We haven't got time to talk about it fully, but I've had, parking, you can see it. And then there are the people that I know have businesses who closed. I only know 2 of them, but I just wonder, how can we bring together factually what happened? Obviously, there's a lot of discussion about what happened as well, so what's factually happened, so that we can go back to the club that organises it in my, well, the reason I say that is because I've been contacted by someone who's a trustee of Bear and Boxing Club. And they want to have as much, they want to know as much about what's going on in the community as possible, so they can mitigate it, deal with it, and they're having a debrief in a couple of weeks. So how do we take this forward so that we've got an accurate picture of what went on? I mean, like I said, the parking was obvious. But the antisocial behaviour and all those other things, go, so that we can go back to them and say, these were the issues. So that's my AOB, and I don't know when the best opportunities to raise it, if it's getting late, but they're meeting for 2 weeks.
Didn't Rich Preston say about an SAAG?
Yeah, so what I'd suggest that we do, because I know that you've said that you've spoken to people, and a lot of people have said you've spoken to people, but nobody really knows who we're speaking to and what the actual issues are. So we obviously, like you said, with no parking, I saw it straight away, 5 o'clock on Friday, taking my son to the hospital, and automatically phoned the office, and we got enforcement and varying other agencies, we reported it. What I would suggest is, through myself, I'm quite happy to bring it all together, and I think if we know what the information is that you're saying, people are saying, let's bring it, let's collate all of that. I think it might be prudent to have a conversation with North Devon Resorts as well to find out their position, because I don't know what their position is, especially with regards to the parking. But all the rumours and the concepts of people not wanting to open their shop because they're concerned or worried. Concerned and worried is one thing. Have they got factual evidence? We can't base it off of just speculation. We have to have the hard facts as to exactly what's happened. So unfortunately, that's going to be down to the conversations that you are already having with members of the public. If you send me the exact information, we can then collate that through Rich Preston, North Devon Resorts, and potentially go down with a suggestion of a SAG meeting.
I mean, are we able to go out and have conversations with people who've got
You
businesses?
can-
And then it's not just myself, but, you know,
No,
there's
you
a
can
lot of
all have conversations. Yeah.
do, you know, there is rumour, but there are people I know definitely who are not the sort of issues those up who were worried and had issues, but maybe they were the only ones. So it's trying to get an accurate picture of what actually happened.
There is a mechanism to deal with it and collate it.
Yeah,
And without going to social media and saying, you had a problem.
No, please do not do that,
Cannot
no.
do that.
Please do not do that.
I'm aware of the parking situation, and actually I got feedback that was positive about the behaviour of
I'm
people.
happy to take that as well.
Yeah, we should.
Good.
Yeah, just one shopkeeper, she said she closed because of an incident that happened 2 years ago. But like you, I've heard lots of people saying, oh, the lads were really polite and nice and well behaved this time. I think it has improved since. Some people were banned.
Absolutely, it has improved in the last 2 years.
Some new facts, so, who's next? Paul?
So according to the deputy manager at Tesco over the weekend, shoplifting went through the roof.
That again is the information that we
I don't
want
know
to
whether
say.
they reported.
I
I should
wouldn't
have
know.
asked, I didn't.
If we can get that information, if you can ask them to contact me, that'd be it's just information that we could do with having.
Well, just, right, I mean, just to be aware that Councillor Williams has left the room because he's unable to comment, but I mean, as county councillor, can you find out why there was so little? David doesn't want to comment.
I'm trying to find out, yeah, I'll remind him.
I mean, it took me about 5 minutes on Sunday to get from Hillingby to Marlborough, and there wasn't any other tickets up.
So my conversation on Friday was, you need to get somebody in to do enforcement ASAP. There's double the buses trying to come down the road, parking the bus stop, double yellow lines, and they said, oh, well, add it to the list. And that was we said, do you
it
know
had
how
already
to do it? We're not responsive service.
Certainly not collated.
Can I say, I'm sorry, so I know from Inspector Preston that actually there was no problem at all last year, as far as the police were concerned. None.
That none reported potentially.
Exactly. It goes back to this reporting thing, doesn't it?
So if we don't collate the information, there's no problem to solve, is it?
So yeah, please feel free to talk to whoever you need to, send the information in my,
To you then.
yeah, I'm happy to collate it, so.
Because I just would like to be able to give something back to the trustees, that they, when they have their debrief, they've got a picture.
I'm happy to talk directly to them as well, if you want to cut yourself out, but just let me know when.
Better obviously than hearsay.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna do, yeah. We can only work with evidence, I'm not gonna go on here, say it's all any
But
firm
also
hard facts.
just to finish, that the North Devon resource, I think, have got a big question to answer about the way they handle parking, because they, at the last minute, and I do know this directly, they introduced a £10 fee for parking, on the site, there, which, you know, obviously took an overspill. And then didn't seem to be, marshalling it at all.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm gonna try and touch base with them as well and have a conversation as to what's happened, because we do have some communication with them, we do know them up there, so we'll have a chat.
I just say that goes back to licensing and the SAC, and it's not really your place to do that, you shouldn't be doing.
No, but they won't have a traditional SAG meeting set up, because they're an independent company, they're not out in the public, they're not closing roads.
More work than the town council.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with that.
No, but if we can,
Get involved.
yeah, but you say that, but Dan, if we don't push, so you can all sit around a table and you can all want to, it's like, this is.
So you should actually be able to do the SAC, what they're doing about it, and they should be going in.
Yeah, I just think we need to do the initial effort to maybe get the SAG.
This could be, this could be, end up being like a Facebook post where you're all moaning and telling me that things have gone wrong, but until we get that information and we can push it, and we can push them having a SAG meeting, they don't have a SAG meeting, that's what I'm saying to you, is because they're a private company and they hold it within their it's a business, they don't have that traditional SAG meeting as far as I'm aware. Yes, I know, but that's not happening at the moment because they're not having anything that
They should have
affects.
one before.
Well, then evidently they're not, according to that email, are they? So I don't know.
We can't really push anyone down when
No,
driving a bat over there.
You can't do a remembrance parade without telling people 70 months in advance, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, just send it all to me and I'll see what I can do.
Right, mine's a quick one. I'm going to make that awful word, I'm sorry, Christmas. I was talking to Mel in Handbags the other day, and she obviously would put this before the cultural club, but she wanted us as members to actually know what she wants to do. She has, and I can't remember where it was, so I do apologise to members, but she has seen where in previous years, other towns have built lanterns. I don't know if you realise what I'm talking about, but they all get together and they build lanterns in various forms. They do animals, all sorts of things like that. And her idea, bless her, and I applauded for this, is she would like community organisations, private individuals, businesses, whatever you want, to actually think about doing something similar. And she would like to organise workshops. She's willing to spearhead this, and I congratulate her. I think it's a superb idea, but she would like us as town councillors to kind of endorse this for her, because obviously she wants to do it, but obviously, I could sing it from the rooftops for her, but obviously that's no good. She wants us as a council to go out and encourage groups that we belong to actually take part.
Can I make a suggestion? Number one, yes, bring it up at the cultural meeting.
Yeah.
Number two, we need an awful lot more information. When you say a lantern and a big lantern and something that's going to be built, my first feel is where's it going to go? Who's it going to blow over? What's the damage? What's the health and safety aspect? So I think a bit more information from Mel, and she's welcome to present it to
Yeah,
the
well, that's what I was
council.
going to suggest to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it should come from Laura, I know she's going to present it at the culture club, but obviously it would be nice if she could present it.
She's very welcome to come along and present it to the
All right
council.
then, thank you very much.
I thought the schools did that.
Well, she wants to go to the school, yeah, they carry little lanterns in jam jars. She wants to go more elaborate. And I
think
forget
she's
which town it is.
I talked to her the other day, and I think what she is thinking about is what happens in Exeter, where they actually make these huge animals out of bamboo and tissue paper, and they've got lights inside, and people carry them as part of the session.
As I say, you know.
Conscious that we are at 2 hours. Let's just put this last point here, which is any actions from this meeting.
No, that's fine, but you do have one element you haven't addressed.
Part B, we need to go to part B, we are at 2 hours, so we need a little vote to say, can we continue? I propose we carry on for a little bit longer, just to finish up, all in favour? Yeah. So I'm gonna propose that we move to part B, all in favour? Right, if the officers could all depart, we're gonna have a councillor only discussion.